Why am I not selling more? This is one of the most frequently asked questions that I get or that I'm seeing on social media. And so in today's video, guys, I am going to share with you 5 tips, 5 things that I do to address this question. And the first 3 are going to be things that you're already doing. You don't want to add to your processes, add platforms, add inventory if what you're currently doing is not working. If there is something wrong in what you're currently doing and you just keep adding onto it, you're not going to make more money. You're likely going to spend more money, spend more time, and not make more money, at least at a hourly rate percentage of your time. And then the last 2 things I'm going to be talking about are things that you can be doing once you have looked at what you're already doing to go ahead and make sure that you're making more sales and making those numbers that you want to be making. So the tip number 1, the first thing I'm going to say is check your expectations. Are your expectations realistic for what you're doing? And when I have people send me DMs and how can I improve my listings and how can I do this? The first thing that I ask is, what's your sell-through rate? What's your average sale price? How many active listings do you have? And this way, and I'll show you guys in just a second how to do this for yourself, but this allows me to say, hey, are you wanting more sales and it's not realistic? Like if you don't have the inventory that is going to be getting more sales, that's the problem. You don't have to get different inventory. You don't have to list more items. It's not your SEO. It's not your photos. All of these different things that social media tells us to do. Start with what you're already doing. Are your expectations right for reality? One of the biggest reasons I get frustrated, I have 3 children. If y'all don't know, I do this part-time. I have 3 children. And when I get frustrated with one of my childs, I take a step back, I take a step back and 9 times out of 10, it's because my expectations are off. I'm frustrated because my 4-year-old's not acting like my 7-year-old. Well, hello, Sarah. He's had 3 years less on this earth to be able to learn how to do the things that my 7-year-old is doing, as well as they're completely different children. Let's look at that with our reselling business. Are your expectations for, I feel like I should be making this many sales. I want to be making this many sales. I feel like I should be making more. I'm not doing good enough. So let's look at what that actually means. Figure out what your reality is and if your reality matches your expectations. Once we do that, we'll go in further to the tips and kind of figure out what to do from there. So I mentioned a few things. Oh, and this isn't set up. I mentioned a few things and they're going to be sell-through rate, right? That is one thing. Sell-through rate. If you're new to the channel, these are not going to be new things to you guys if you're new to the channel, but sell-through rate, average sale price, and active listings. This is kind of what compiles the golden formula for resellers. I will link a video up above, kind of getting a little bit more in detail into it, and we'll get into it further shortly. But looking at being able to have metrics for what you're currently doing to compare, to see how you are doing. So you need to compare to yourself. How are you doing compared to yourself? Are you actually dipping? Are you having less sales? And then comparing to the market. Is it realistic to say, hey, I want to sell 500 items right now? Is what you're selling, is that even a realistic number to be having? So I'm going to walk you through how to find your sell-through rate. This is how many items you've sold out of how many items you have for sale. And then I'll walk you through how to find your average sale price. This is on average, how much are these items selling for? And these metrics are so important because they give you something to check and to follow and to monitor and to see if your expectations are even realistic. So your sell-through rate here, you can see I have the formulas. This is for a given time period. It's going to be dependent on the time period that you have. If you're looking at a week, that's going to be a smaller sell-through rate than if you're looking at a year's worth of data, right? So be mindful in what you're looking at. It's the items that sold and the items available for the same time period, right? So you need to keep apples to apples. Your sell-through rate is how many you sold out of how many you had for sale. So that is your how many have sold divided by how many items sold, because those were available when you're looking at this. They did sell, but they were available, and how many items that you have. So typically this is going to be your active items. If you go ahead and divide that here, I did it quickly in Excel. You can do it on pen and paper. Let's say, for this last month, I had 300 items that sold. I had 1,600 active listings. I go to my eBay store, I say I have 1,600 active listings, but I sold 300. So those were available in the time period that I'm looking at. That gives me a sell-through rate of 15%. So go ahead and figure out your guys' sell-through rate. If you track this, I definitely recommend tracking this. If you're like, hey, I don't want to do any of this math at all, this is why I created the Sarah Styles Sales and Trends dashboard. This is for purchase. All you do is manage your data. So you can sell literally anything. You just have to put it into the spreadsheet, and then it'll give you your sell-through rates for your monthly, for 28 days, for annual, for all of these different things, top categories. It'll compare different always looking at sell-through rate and average sale price. It'll compare different categories and different brands and different places you source and different platforms and tons of that. So if you don't want to do the math, this is available for purchase. The link is down below, and we'll look a little bit more in depth into this in a minute. So the next thing we're going to look at, we have our sell-through rate. Once we have our sell-through rate, we're going to be able to compare it and see if our expectations are actually reality, or if our expectations are just not actually what's going to happen with what we're doing right now, and we need to change that. And then our average sale price is how much dollar amount that you've sold out of how much quantity you've sold. So if you've sold, I said, these 300 items sold for, I did that wrong. So you guys will watch me do it. So let's say these 300 items sold for $10,000. I'm just picking a number. So I have $10,000 is how much they sold for, and I sold 300 items. So on average, my items are selling for $33. So now that you have these two metrics, we can now go check in and say, hey, this is how I'm performing. These are my sell-through rates. These are my average sale price. The inventory, the items that I'm selling, is this realistic? Am I doing okay? Two ways to do this is, one, I always recommend comparing to yourself and then comparing to the market. So if you don't track these numbers, I definitely recommend doing it, because you're able to then say, this past month, I'm like, I feel like I haven't really been doing very well. And I check in with my numbers, and I'll show you, I checked in with my numbers and I was like, okay, Sarah, get it together. You feel like you've been doing now, not doing well. Gut check is my 28-day rolling comparison. So 28 days compared to the previous 28 days, I'm down 0.27% sell-through rate. That's net neutral. Average sale price, I'm up 30 cents, also net neutral. So while I feel like I'm not doing well, I'm fine. I'm performing how I always have been performing. So right there, I know my expectations are ridiculous, right? Like, I feel like I'm not doing well. I check in and say, hey, get it together, Sarah. Like, you're doing fine. If you don't have access to this data and you kind of want to get a gut check of, how am I doing compared to, is my stuff selling well? You can go ahead and go to eBay. I will link a video up above for the Terapeak. I go through a full how-to tutorial on how to use this, but you can go in here and you can research things that you sell. For the sake of this video, I'm going to go through and say women's jeans. Like, this is very broad. You can get into, women's American Eagle boot cut size 30 jeans, right? Like, you can get very specific, but just to kind of be a general, let's say I sell women's jeans. My average sale price, the average sale price on eBay for the last 30 days. So on average in the past month, women's jeans are selling for $23. And the sell-through rate down here, the sell-through rate is 4.42%. So how do my numbers compare to the market? Oftentimes, when I'm talking to people and they're like, I should be selling more, why am I not selling more? Their numbers match what eBay is saying. So it's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's not that you need to improve your SEO or, listings or whatever it is. You're doing what the market's doing. Your expectations are just a little off. So that's number one. Check in with your expectations. Make sure that your expectations are matching what the market is producing, matching what you're historically doing in the past. Once you've gone through that, you can go ahead and start looking at other things. I check in, I say, hey, am I actually slower? Is there something that I can be doing here? And then from there, I go to, if you're on eBay, go to eBay, Traffic and Analytics. I will link a video up here of how to look at the eBay Traffic and Analytics. It's a lot of information. It's extremely helpful. So I really do recommend that you guys go ahead and check out that how-to video and figure out what these numbers mean, because this is another thing. Buying more things, if what you're currently doing is not working, buying more things is not actually going to help. It's going to take you more time, and you're going to continue to have the same problems that you had now. Learn your tools and analytics on eBay. Check your expectations. I'll go ahead and share this with you. This is down below for purchase, so you guys can go ahead and purchase this, and it will help you, I think. Oh, I actually can't show it. Sorry. I don't have it pulled up on my screen. I apologize. But it's a graphic. It is linked down below. It's on my website, and it'll tell you what impressions mean and what specifically you need to do to fix those. So if your impressions are down, figure out why they're down and fix them. If your traffic is down, figure out why it's down and fix it. If your sales conversion is down, figure out why it's down and fix it. Once you can get these things well, and you're hitting your expectations and everything is moving well, I'll share with you guys at the end of this video 2 tips on how to increase from there. But work with what you have first. Make sure that it's working well before you go ahead and add things onto it, because it's not going to end well. You're going to be spending more time and money. I know I've said that, but it's really very true. So really work on, look at your eBay Traffic and Analytics. Check out that how-to tutorial. This is what I look at. Things are slow. What is causing this? Is it my SEO? Am I buying worse inventory and I'm not getting as many impressions for it? Am I listing less items? What are your listing habits like? If you went from listing 5 items a day to now listing 1 item a day, you have less items available for people to purchase. Your impressions are likely going down, your page views are going down, and likely your sales are going down with it. And those are all things that are going to be seen when you look at eBay Analytics. Off of that, I'm going to go ahead and get into the 3rd tip, and that is your listing habits. Have your listing habits change. And everyone, I'm a very consistent person, and I believe eBay really appreciates that. So look at your listing habits. But then I also mean your listing quality. And so I will go ahead and link a video up here, and I do believe I have this one pulled up to show you what it looks like. Not going to go into the full report, but eBay has this listing quality report. And even though 9 times out of 10, everything from this listing quality report, no recommendations now, everything for me, I've been listing, I have VAs who are very consistent with their listing, but every once in a while, there's 2 things that came up here that I can improve on. These are things with my current inventory that I fix these and I'm going to be making more sales. So I highly recommend to also go ahead and pull your eBay listing report. Make sure everything's on point. Make sure you're competing at a top level before you go ahead and change things. So now that we have checked in with how things are currently going, how are our expectations actually on point? Are we saying we're not making sales even though we actually are for what our inventory is? If our inventory says, hey, you're selling women's jeans and you're selling at 4% a month, that's on track with the market. And this is the time, these next tips, this is the time that we're going to look at how to improve those. Everything with what you're looking at, it's not a problem with what's currently going on. I want to make more sales. Everything I'm doing is fine. How do I go ahead and make more sales? So now we're going to go back to, you guys know what your average sale price is, you know what your sell-through rate is, and we're going to go ahead and go over to the golden formula for resellers. So this is a template. I will link it down below, and you guys can go in and change your sell-through rate, change your average sale price and your active listings, and it'll tell you, exactly how much money that you'll make. And then you can come over here as well, and it'll tell you, kind of in a different order, it'll tell you how many active listings that you need. This is linked down below. If you still don't want to do this math, The Sarah Style Sales and Trends dashboard gives you all of these numbers. It even gives you a simulator down here that says, hey, I want to make 10,000 gross revenue a month. This is exactly how many items you need to sell. This is what your average sale price needs to be. And this is how many active listings you need to have based off of your data. Saying that you need to go from a $15 average sale price to a $150 average sale price, it's not realistic. Maybe over the course of a year, but that's going to be a lot of changes in your knowledge, in your sourcing. You still have things that are selling for $15. So this is based off of what my average sale price is and kind of in or around there, assuming that you're not going to change too much there. So that is in the the Sarah Style Sales and Trends dashboard. But now we're looking at the golden formulas for resellers. And all this is a formula that tells you, excuse me guys, a formula that tells you your gross revenue. It looks kind of scary. Stay with me. It's your sell through times your active listing. So this is how many items you're selling out of how many items that you had for sale, how many items you've sold times on average how much they're selling for. That gives you your gross revenue. So keep in mind, we're talking gross revenue. If you want to talk about profits, you're going to have to take out your cost of goods. And then if you want to talk about, all the way at your bottom line, expenses and shipping and fees and taxes. So I do have monthly videos that goes through my profit and loss statement that goes from my gross all the way down to my bottom line if you guys are interested in that. But right now we're talking strictly gross number, that top number. How do you get that number to be what you want it to be? So let's go off of that American Eagle. I think it was women's jeans. Let's say you sell a lot of women's jeans. Your sell-through rate is 5%. Your average sale price is $23. You're about what eBay says that you should be at. So this is tip number 4. You're right where eBay says that you should be at. There's not much more that you can do. You're doing everything right because you're selling as well as other sellers on eBay. In order to sell better, this is the market. This is what you're doing. Let's say you have 600 active listings. You should be making around $690. If you want to make more money, you just have to change one of these numbers, increase it. So you say, hey, my sell-through rate, I want to increase my sell-through rate. This means I want to sell more items. This is likely going to happen if you add platforms. If you don't change your active listings, you're selling more items. If you add another platform, you have more eyes. And let's say you can increase that to a 7% now because you added another platform, and now you're up to almost $1,000 just by adding another platform. Once everything has been checked off that you're doing everything fine. So let's say, hey, I just want to stay on one platform. I don't want to do anything to increase my sell-through rate, but I think I can probably learn a little bit more and increase my average sale price and start selling things closer to $26. Actually, let's take that to like $35 just for the sake of this video. You guys can still really see how it moves. You increase your average sale price and that takes you up to $1,000. Now let's say, hey, I like what I'm doing. I know women's jeans. I have an easy time finding them. You just need to have more items available. If you increase this to 1,000 active listings, you're now at $1,300. And this is something that a lot of people, when I ask questions, hey, what am I doing wrong? You're doing everything right. If I were to look at this fake person with American Eagle, you're doing everything right. Your sell-through rate and your average sale price are on point with what eBay is saying. If you want to make more money, you got to change one of those things. You either need to sell more items, you need to sell higher price items, or you need to sell the same items and do everything that you're doing the same and just have more items. That being said, you hear so many times in the community, the only way to make more sales is to have more active listings. And y'all just saw that's not the case. You can sell more items and with the same amount of active listings, or you can increase your sell-through rate. So tip number 5 now is you have everything is working smoothly. You have your expectations in check. You know what's working and you figure it out. Hey, I want to increase my sell-through rate, or I'm going to increase my average sale price, and figure out exactly how you're going to do that. Either look at the market data, go into Terapeak and look at the market data and figure out, what categories that you are knowledgeable about or spend time learning about that have a higher average sale price or have a higher sell-through rate. If you're going to keep the same active listings, if you're going to increase your active listings and keep everything else the same, figure out how you're going to increase those active listings. It's likely going to be more sourcing time to find more items. So if you're looking at your own data, you can come in and say, hey, I'm going to increase my sell-through rate. And, accessories has a 30% sell-through rate. Sweaters has a 22% sell-through rate. Home goods has a 25% sell-through rate. What sell-through rates have these higher sell-through rates of things that I'm already doing? If I'm going to go ahead and work on increasing my average sell price, I'm going to go ahead and look over here, further to the right at what has a high average sell price, $51. Can I be sourcing more jackets strategically? Bags has a high average sale price. Dresses has a high average sale price. That's all based off of my data, things that I know, things that I'm not going to have to change. But if I can source more of those items, increase my average sale price, boom, I'm going to automatically make more sales. If you like this video, YouTube also thinks that you like this video. I'll link a playlist here of how to make money reselling, and then make sure to hit that subscribe button.